Okay. So Squid Game came out, and the Squid Game hype started to die down because season 3 dropped on Netflix on October 15th. Yay! Oh my God, so exciting. I was excited too. I was actually really excited that you dropped. You was one of my favorite shows. Especially the first 2 seasons. I think Penn Badgley does a fantastic job. Victoria Peretti is also so good as Love. The acting performances in this show are fantastic. Like I can tell you that right off the bat. If you want to see some good acting, if you want to see some like unique ways to play roles, yeah, watch You. It's awesome. The first 2 seasons were great. Okay, I will give it that. The first 2 seasons, I did not like. I thought You would be one of those shows where it would like the season 1 was really good, right? But it was like, how are they going to change the formatting to make season 2 like watchable? Oh, the creators did a fantastic job. And they did such a good job that season 2 was almost borderline better than season 1. And season 1 was pretty damn good. And so I had high expectations coming into season 3. Like a lot of you fans out there, like the product that we as consumers had received in the first 2 seasons was fantastic. You had seen, like this serial killer drama / weird romantic comedy. It was creepy, but it was charming. You wanted to root for the serial killer, but yet you knew he was a complete and utter creep. Like it's this weird play of your emotions. And You does such a good job of that in the first 2 seasons. But the problem I think the You creators are running into here in season 3, and I don't want to like get into spoilers, and I'm not really going to try to spoil the season because I know there's a lot of people who haven't watched it. Season 3 kind of runs into this issue of like, okay, we have used the same structure for 2 seasons now. Boy meets girl, there's friends, there's this, there's that, there's obstacles, blah, blah, blah. It leads to a final showdown at the end. And then, cool. That's season 1. Season 2, and I'm going to kind of throw out a little bit of spoilers for season 1 and season 2. Boy meets girl, meets the friends, meets, sibling, which is like a whole, and then like family, which is a whole nother dynamic. And they add in the family dynamic. And then at the end of the season, they kind of bait and switch you. And they're like, oh, Love's also this. And it's like, Love's also this crazy killer. And then it's like, whoa, like a big twist, right? Like it throws you for a loop because you don't expect it. You think you see it coming because you had the kind of groundwork laid from season 1, and then they flip it on its head and they're like, nah, JK, boom. And it's like, whoa, that's, mind blowing. And it works for a season. And that's the thing, is this structure worked for 2 seasons, but they already tried everything. They tried everything for season 3, and and that's the thing. Season 3, they kind of start you off on this path of like, oh, we're gonna kind of go for the same vibe, right? Like boy meets girl. But then it's like real quick, it's like, well, okay, we ain't going for that vibe. And then it just turns really weird and just into this, like festive impulsiveness. And the actors and actresses in this season, the one thing that I will say in this season that is just very apparent is impulsivity. And it looked like the creators were just trying to bait and switch the viewer at every turn. It looked like the creators were almost trying to be like, oh my God, our expectations are so high for this season. We have to throw everything we can at the wall and see what sticks. And that's what this season was. That is what season 3 of You was. It was just a bunch of ideas thrown at a wall, seeing what sticks, seeing what works, and then, oh crap, by the time you get to the middle and towards the end of the season, you really don't know what the plot is at that point because it's just like, what is happening? There's just so much going on. There's so much blood. Everything is just crazy and chaotic. And then the ending is just kind of weird. It was weird, it was a weird, it felt hodgepodgey. It did not feel like it was a good season of television. Didn't feel well thought through. What I liked about the first 2 seasons is that they were thought through. They were simple plots so that like a 14 or a 15 or a 16-year-old girl or guy would love it. But they were also complex enough so that adult audiences were like, ooh, there's some meta shit here. I want to dig into it. Season 3 did not have that. Season 3 just felt like we're going to try to just appease the freaking mainstream audience that loves You for the creepy serial killer drama that it is. And that's what they did. They bait and switch you. They take you on a different path, and then they take you down this other, weird route. And it feels like a lot of detours to get to a conclusion that I at least saw coming from episode 1. Okay. That it's going to lead to some sort of showdown. And that's what happened. But I'm not going to get into detail. I want you guys to kind of make your own informed opinion. But I'm also curious, like, did you guys like you? Do you guys like the show? First of all, I think that's an important question to ask. But also, did you guys like this season? Because I've seen a lot of mixed reviews. There are people that have liked it, but for the most part, with like the people that I'm associated with, like they didn't really seem to enjoy it all that much. It felt a little draggy. And to be honest, I'm with them in a lot of ways. For me, it dragged a little bit. There was a lot of parts which felt like, whatever. But let me talk about this real quick before I wrap this topic up. Season 3 takes place in the Silicon Valley. It's a Silicon Valley suburb. It's supposed to be like, I guess, based on like a Palo Alto / Menlo Park / Atherton type vibe. They do an absolutely garbage job of portraying the Bay. It is one of the worst portraying. Like, I love you. Like, I want to say that. I really like this TV show. I love the actors and the actresses that are associated with it, but they really should have consulted some people from the Bay Area before they like went and, wrote this whole thing. I have never seen a whiter version of the Bay Area than I saw on that show, right? Like, besides Los Gatos, besides Atherton, the Bay ain't really that white, to be honest. And there was like one black character in the whole show. It felt like a very white season. It felt like, and that got me thinking. I was like, what does Hollywood think of Silicon Valley? Do they just think we're a bunch of white assholes? Like, do they just picture Silicon Valley as like a tech version of LA? Like, because that's not true. That is really not what Silicon Valley is. That's not what the Bay Area is. The Bay Area is, I've gone into detail on this, very multicultural, multi-regional, East Bay, South Bay, Peninsula. Each region has its own culture, its microclimates. Like, there's so much going on. But, obviously you can't include that all in the show. You're just trying to like, and they're trying to use like, I get like what they were going for with the Bay. Like, they were trying to go for this like kind of tech-centered plot, but also like, they just want to throw in the fact that like, oh, it's in a suburb and it's wealthy and it's white. Like, I get it. I get what you're going for, but it was just a really bad portrayed version of the Bay Area. I would have liked if they had maybe consulted people on this who had actually lived in San Francisco or in the, suburbs around San Francisco, because I felt like this was pretty bad and it was not a very well thought out. I felt like it wasn't a very well thought out setting, so to speak. I feel like the way they do New York and the way they do LA is really cool. And that's what I always liked about you, is they really do a good job of like portraying the settings, of like, providing a really nice backdrop to the whole, like, of all the events. They didn't really do a good job with this Silicon Valley suburb. And maybe I'm biased because I'm from here, but I just felt that this was very half-assed and wasn't very good. That's my opinion.